All right, my name is Jay Campbell. I'm the head football coach at Northridge High School in Johnstown, Ohio. We're a Division VI program. Have about 400 students enrolled in the high school, and we carry anywhere from about 35 to 50, maybe a little over on a good year, on our roster. Contact information is there, Jay Campbell at NorthridgeVikings.org if you want any of this or have any questions or ideas or even suggestions. Be happy to hear them. My cell phone number is not listed. If you'd like to contact me, my cell phone is 614-302-5685. Like to thank by having or start by thanking Coach Bandstra for having me on, and Brian Finn for kind of pushing this, I guess. Today I'm going to talk about trades and shifts in our offense at Northridge. We're a wing T team, just kind of give you a background information. We're a wing T team, predominantly buck, belly, jet. Those are kind of our three top plays. I was going through Coach Banstra's list of everybody that had talked and noticed there was a lot of buck sweep and a lot of RPO and, that kind of thing. I wanted to talk about something a little bit different today. So I'm going to talk about some trades and shifts that we do. Before I get started, I understand that trades and shifts aren't for everybody, but it's something that we do that's added a little production to our offense. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here. Some reasons why we shift and trade. The first reason we started was practice time. Our time spent versus our opposition's time spent trying to defend it. It takes us approximately 5 minutes to install a new trade or shift. And then obviously, once we get into our group and team stuff, we're practicing it more and trying to get the tempo of it and the speed of it correct. But to actually install it is pretty quick. I can give you an example and I'll jump into it later. We run a shift called mask, which is a double shift. And again, I'll dive into all that here in a second, but it's a double shift. And in our meeting before we decided to install it, we were like, man, we're going to spend forever trying to teach this. And I don't think we gave our kids enough credit. They were able to pick it up within 5 minutes. We talked it up on the board on a Monday, went out, ran through it a couple times, and they had it down. And when I say it took us 5 minutes, I'm serious. I mean, it was spot on 5 minutes. One thing we've noticed, and this wasn't the original reason we went to shifts and trades, but it's made defenses more predictable for us, and we like that. We don't run a ton of formations. We may carry 4, 5, 6 formations into a game, and we want to know how a defense is going to try to defend it. We've noticed more and more that the more we shift, the more we trade, the more we move, that defenses are staying in double twos. Or we'll always get a 7 or we'll always get a 9. So it gives us an opportunity to kind of know what the defense is going to give us. Is it a good trap front? Is it a good buck front? Is it a good belly front? And then finally, we face in the LCL, we face some really, really good coaches and some really great defensive coordinators. So our whole goal is to try to force opposing players to think and react quickly. Our philosophy and our concept isn't that we have to outthink coaches, but we're trying to get kids to be uncomfortable in the way they play, in the way they react. I'm not trying to outcoach the guy across the way. I'm trying to, outcoach a kid on the field. So that's kind of our goal and our concept with that and why we do it. What we look for is personnel moving sides. Can we get away from their best player? And oftentimes that turns into a cat and mouse game for us. I can give you an example. We played a kid this year that's going to Youngstown State, and we flopped. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but we flopped, traded, shifted probably on 80% of our snaps, just because we were trying to get him to move. We were trying to run away from him, and that it became the ultimate cat and mouse game because he was lined up to the weak side to stop belly, and then we started running buck, and they moved him over to stop buck. So overall, we're trying to get away from their best players. Are they shifting D-line gaps? Are they moving? Again, more often than not, we're starting to find that teams don't shift. They don't move. They don't change gaps. That we're getting a lot of double twos, not every week by any means, but more so than I had probably seen 3 or 4 years ago. Is there a better trap matchup that we have? So we're trying to look at that. And again, does it give us a personnel advantage? If we flop to one side and nobody's moving, they're just sliding their line a gap or a half a shade or whatever it may be. Does it give us a personnel advantage? Can we get our tight end on maybe their weaker defensive end? Shifts and trades that we run, we carried 5 into last year, and I'm not going to go over all of these in depth, as most all wing T teams run at least the first 2 that we have, our trade and our flop. And again, I'll jump into those here in a minute. We also run a shift, scat and mask. Scat and mask are the 2 that I'm going to spend the most time on today, as they're kind of unique, or at least what I think makes us unique. So I'm going to talk about those just a little bit more in depth. I'm going to go through the first 3 pretty quick. First, our trade is just moving the tight end from one side of the line to the other. And you can kind of see that in this diagram. We may start with the tight end on the left, quarterback comes to the line, says trade, tight end moves over the other side of the line, just a simple change of strength. And again, we're looking for, is that defensive end going to play inside shade? Are they going to move somebody? Some teams have even rolled a safety down to try to defend that. So, we're kind of looking at those things. But like I said, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on trade. I know anybody that runs the wing T is probably running some sort of trade. Our second one is flop. That's actually the first one that we put in throughout the year, and that's a tight end and wing trade from one side of the line to the other. Again, anybody who's a wing T person, or even has had to defend the wing T, has seen flop. We're bringing our tight end and wing from one side of the line to the other. Our back shifts, and again, can we run buck sweep? That's our number one. Can we run buck? If not, are we able to run belly to the backside? Are we able to run waggle? Most times that we flop, we have an unbalanced set where our X will cover up our tight end. That's not always the case. We can flop to a traditional set, but occasionally we'll flop, or more often than not, we'll flop to a unbalanced set out of that. Next one we run, I have a little film I'll show you on this, just because I think it helps kind of understand the concept of what we're doing. Is shift, and that's a wing. That's our wing and our X shifting. So we would start out in a tight end wing set to one side, and then bring our X down and our Z over to kind of continue to create that wing and tight end surface, but to the other side. We are moving our back. So, our back would start out, this original formation would be right for us. And then we would bring our back over. So there's actually 3 moving parts to shift. I'm going to jump into film here real quick. I've got a couple clips that I think will kind of help clarify what exactly I'm talking about. All right, so I'll start here by showing a little of our shift film, and we don't get all of it in here, but you can kind of tell we're in tight end wing to the left. Halfback was away. Quarterback comes up, says shift, and we move over. This is going to be a better view from the back angle, so I'll kind of give you the back angle on this. Again, we've got tight end and wing over here to the left. Sorry, the wing is cut out of the film. Our X is actually going to be cut out too. Quarterback comes to line, says shift. Our wing and our X both move. So our X is lined up, and again, it's kind of hard to tell, but he's out wide. Shift, he comes down. And you can kind of see the surface that's created for us. One of the things we've got to get better with is going a lot quicker. He yells shift, as soon as he's set, for a second, we want to be snapping the ball about right now. And we got better at that as the season went on. But again, shift, he moves. Nobody on the defense moves. Again, predictability. We've got angles. Our wing is going to down block here on this end. And we actually end up with a numbers advantage as well because our X comes down. He's going to crack here. Obviously, any typical buck sweep blocking, tackle's going to block down, wing's going to block down, guard's going to wrap through, and that gives us a little bit better of a matchup out here too because now we get a guard on typically an X who's covering up our or a corner who's covering up our X. Excuse me. So again, able to get down block. We're through. And that was purely out of numbers and a pretty decent block by our tackle there to the play side. So a couple more clips. Again, this is one of the few times that we pass the ball. So I just wanted to show everybody that we do actually pass the ball and we will shift. And we're able to run waggle out of it. Again, I kind of show you from the back angle here, kind of gives you a better view of it. This is a very well-coached football team that we're playing. This is week 2 of the season. And you can tell that, they're just having a little bit of trouble getting lined up. And I know that's not lack of coaching because they're a very well-coached football team. And they're trying to get their best players over to our wing right now. And again, if we're doing this correctly, we would have snapped the ball a lot sooner. And again, this is, like I said, this is week 2, so we got a little bit better at that as the season went on. But something we've got to do better from the get-go. That was late in the game, ended up being a pretty big play for us. Show you one more clip. I don't think that's the one. Yeah. So again, here's a back angle. We start traditional wing T set. We shift over. X comes down. We've got an angle here, able to get a good down block. We're able to get through and score. So again, just trying to make the defense play a little bit slower than what they typically would and have to think a little bit. So that's that for shift. Again, I don't know how unique that is or how innovative that is, but it's something that we do that we actually had a lot of success with. Next thing that I'd like to jump into is what we call Scat. And this is something we actually got from I believe Michigan lined up in this. And again, it kind of fit our philosophy of trying to go quick and make teams think a little bit more than what they typically would. Again, we're not coaching against the coach across the field. We're trying to coach against the kids on the field. So in our Scat, our Z, halfback, fullback, and tight end are going to stay in the huddle. Everybody else is on the line, our center guard, tackle. We even go ahead and split our X out, our split in. And then our quarterback comes to the line, moves them into formation. And again, speed with this is key. We're trying to get up and get set as fast as possible. I have a diagram drawn up. Again, I'm going to try to show some film on it. Diagram's probably a little confusing. But again, our quarterback comes to the line. We've got our fullback, our tight end, our wing, and our halfback. And then the quarterback comes to the line and he moves them into formation. And again, we can scat to any formation. We even scatted to some gun stuff this year. So we can scat to just about any formation we want to. And again, the same concept stays the same. Scat stuff again. This is actually into a heavy set, so our tackle over set. So you can see we've got our left tackle. He's down we're going to scat to heavy left. So our right tackle is down in a 2-point. When the quarterback says scat, our tackle is going to come over to the left, and we're actually going to create a 4-man surface to the left. And early in the game, we got some very, very favorable edges out of this because it was something that they hadn't seen and they hadn't practiced. So again, speed is the key. We'd like to be snapping the ball now, but again, you can see they're trying to get a kid over to our tight end wing. They realize we've got an extra lineman down. We've actually got 2 tight ends in the game there. And maybe the back angle is a bit more visible to see. But we go ahead and scat here. Again, our tackle comes over. We're set. You can see the original edge that gives us. And trying to run buck sweep, that's an edge that I think just about any coach would like to see. And they're trying to get one of their better defenders over there, defend it. He's there late. He's not comfortable and making that read or that run fit. And we're able to get a nice 15-yard gain out of it. Again, same exact concept here. This tackle does it a little bit better as far as the speed is concerned. Of coming down, getting set, and then a little bit later in the game, and they're a little more comfortable with it. But you can still see the edge that we get out of this is exactly what we're looking for. Again, 2 tight ends in the game here. This wasn't necessarily traditional for us, but this is more game plan specific this week. And we're able to get a great edge. If we make one guy miss, we're probably off there. So that's our scat stuff out of heavy. Again, that's not our traditional look there. We had 2 tight ends in the game. More often than not, we'll just scat to a normal set. The last one that I wanted to go over is one that we put in late in the year. All right, so the next shift that I want to go over is our mask. Again, this is the one I talked about earlier in the presentation. We put this in for an odd stack team who we'd played the previous 2 years, and they had always slanted to our strength almost exclusively. So we wanted to find something that, again, would confuse their kids and not necessarily their coaching staff. But we wanted something that was going to try to help slow their kids down. Extremely, extremely talented team. They ended up going 8-2. They did beat us, but we were able to run the ball pretty effectively, which is obviously one of our keys every week. So again, it's a double shift in strength. It uses multiple trades, two in the same play. And our kids love this. Again, this is something that we were very concerned with how long it was going to take us to kind of install it and teach it. And we were kind of hesitant to do it at the beginning of the week, but they picked it up within 5 minutes. By the time we went to the chalkboard and to the time we went out on the field, they had it picked up. We've toyed around with the idea of allowing the kids to line up wherever they want originally. And as long as they're where they need to be by the second shift call, then they can be, then it didn't really matter to us. So we kind of, I do have a clip that I'm going to show you about where, we kind of gave them free reign to line up where they wanted. And again, they enjoyed it. It was something that they liked to do and that they got excited about. So I'm going to jump into some mask clips here real quick. All right. First clip here again, you can tell this would be our rip tight look. This is what we were shifting to in the earlier film. Set our backfield in an I. So quarterback comes to the line. He says, move. And then flop. And we're just at a big right. You can tell defense doesn't move. We're going to run buck sweep. We actually get a heck of an edge, and obviously they adjust later in the game. And we don't have as much success, but we still had quite a pretty good edge, and obviously you're going to get a better view of it here from the backside. So again, we're in our rip tight, and we go to left, and then we move again, and you can see the edge that gives us. And we get a very, very good edge out of this. And we end up picking up 12 yards and probably could have been more on Buck. Ends up being a pretty good play for us. Also, like I said earlier, we like to run jet out of it. This is where we told the kids, hey, line up wherever you want. And then as long as you're where you need to be by the second shift, you're going to be okay. And we're going to be where we need to be lined up. So you can see here again, double shift, quarterback was moving them all, and we're running jet to this. We get a pretty decent edge. It's a pretty decent jet edge. And we're one block away there from our guard from probably making that 5, 10, 15 more yards. So again, you can kind of see it from the backside. Pretty good football team. You can see you got the defense moving, which again is what we're trying to do. This is the first week that they had seen this. It was the first week we had run it. And again, a pretty decent jet edge there from us. We mask this here. We do mask into different formations. So again, we're going to mask to rip tight. So I kind of roll this back one more time. So we're in like a unbalanced formation here. We move, bring our tight end and our wing with us. Again, I kind of went over this earlier. 88 was who they wanted to play to our tight end and wing. And then we shift them again. They don't move that kid. So again, it helps us with a personnel matchup. And we're able to turn this into 6. Our halfback hits that pretty well. But again, we were able to get a pretty solid personnel matchup there on the outside. I can kind of show that from a back angle as well. Again, tight end wing, P8, their best defender by far, goes with it. They're not going to move them again, so we get a pretty decent personnel matchup to the side we're trying to get it to, and we're able to run buck there for 6. So, again, as I finished up here, this is something that we're probably going to start doing even more moving into the future is our shifts and our trades. I completely understand it's not for everybody. It was something that took me some time and our staff to be sold on. But we saw an increase of an increase in production and an increase in explosive plays by about 35 to 40% when we were shifting, trading, motioning. So definitely something that we're going to continue to do in the future. Appreciate you taking time to listen today. Again, thanks to Coach Bandstra for having me on. If you have any questions or just want to talk ball, feel free to reach out. Again, my email is on that cover page there. Phone number 614-302-5685. Again, thanks for listening. I appreciate it. Go Vikes.